Anyone trying to understand the meaning of the Katy Perry video, Wide Awake, has to be aware, I think, almost from the very beginning, that even the title is quite ironic. Someone who's wide awake has a lot of beta waves running in the brain. These are associated with very concentrated activity. The person's brain is very active, but the person focuses on one task to the exclusion of all else. And the person may feel wide awake in this state, but it can be produced both by conscious effort and by hypnosis. So when you put someone under hypnosis, they lower their inhibitions, they become performers, they can be part of an onstage hypnosis show, but they're working very hard, and yet they're unaware of their surroundings. This is much like the state a performer is in, or an athlete is in during a moment of peak effort. You're not really creating anything new in this brain environment. You're just repeating something that you've rehearsed multiple times before, and you're trying to do your best to make it absolutely right, to look right and sound right. Now, in this state, it either is or it resembles hypnosis. So someone who's wide awake is not aware of the true diversity in his or her surroundings. A more accurate term would be narrowly awake. So if you hear even just the title of the video, you should start to suspect almost from the beginning that something's amiss. Watching Katy Perry's movie, part of me, provides another clue as to how to interpret this. If you put those two things together, part of me and wide awake, you get essentially a title much like the Stanley Kubrick movie, Eyes Wide Shut. That there may be lots to see around you, but you aren't really aware of all of it, deliberately or otherwise. During the movie, although Katy Perry was brought up as quite a strict Christian, there's not much sign that her parents are dissatisfied with her career. Her mother says at one point when she's asked if she would watch if Katy Perry went on MTV, "Well, I wouldn't watch," she says, "if she had only half her clothes on," or something to that effect. And the movie ends with an onstage performance of the song California Girls. Then the screen goes dark, and they start playing Wide Awake, which is a wonderfully ironic way of doing it, because the screen is black except for the credits rolling. So you have someone singing about being wide awake, and yet there's nothing there to see. So our examination of the video then essentially picks up where the movie left off. During the movie, Katy Perry's mother says she wouldn't watch her if she had half her clothes off. And at the beginning of the Wide Awake video, Katy Perry has essentially all of her clothes off. So she's doing the opposite of what was talked about in the film, and something that her parents might not have approved of. And yet, she's portrayed as being in a somewhat innocent state, and this is how the Wide Awake video begins, is with the recollection of the video that is largely about innocence, taking things at face value, looking at the bright side, and accepting fairy tales and myths for what they appear to be. It takes place, the California Girls video does, in California Candyland, alternate California, and Katy proceeds down something like a walk of fame with stars on it. And there's a hint that something might be a little bit off. It's a place that you can get trapped in. It's a game, which is run by Snoop Dogg, and he's trapped some other girls in it. And Katy has come there to try to help them escape and to try to win the game. There are candy things everywhere. There are materials that you eat and that would melt if you don't eat them, such as ice cream. And there are also stalks that turn into snakes. And they are snakes that hang from something, we don't know, above. So they are depicted as the snakes more or less in the Garden of Eden, in fitting with the general tone of innocence of the place. And they are not going on their bellies, as they are when they're cursed by God later on in the story. They're still hanging. And there's also a hint of innocence, I suppose, in the end, because Katy doesn't have her clothes on, much like the Adam and Eve thing. And there's talk by Snoop Dogg of kissing, but there's no actual kiss shown in the video. Now, Katy at one point climbs up as if like Jack in the Beanstalk, the fairy tale, and she concludes the video lying on her stomach on top of a cotton candy cloud. This is much like a fairy tale that's widely distributed today and may be still accepted because it's a version of a story we're told as children, with Jack and the Beanstalk or Chicken Little, I suppose, in a way. But the sky doesn't fall in this one. She's left sitting up on top of the cloud. And this is the basis of the presumed greenhouse effect, the idea that clouds can act as if they're solid objects, like the roof of a greenhouse, and keep the Earth's heat in that way. So there are a variety of myths and stories that are more or less accepted at face value. There's eating going on in the California Girls video, but it's treated as if there aren't really a lot of nasty consequences. There's a gingerbread man who's eaten, as Katy Perry explains in the making of the California Girls video, but she says we eat him in a nice way. So it's not treated as if it's a really serious thing if somebody gets trapped in this candy land or if somebody gets eaten. Now, all of these things that happen will more or less be reversed when Katy makes her plunge partway through the Wide Awake video. And everything that happens and goes on in the areas below the Candyland are the opposite of what went on in the California Girls video. Some of the things that happen frequently in Katy's videos and that can be helped to decode the meaning of Wide Awake are frequent costume changes. There are a lot of them in the California Girls, and some of them involve doing strange things with her breasts. In the California Girls version, it's more of the innocent version, I guess, of how breasts are used. They're like food. They've got cupcakes on them at the beginning, and then she sprays whipped cream, I guess, out of them at the end in her showdown with Snoop Dogg. And she repeats this when she goes out on stage with the audience and takes a big double-barreled pumper and sprays the audience with what I presume is whipped cream. So the combat, the shooting, which is also a theme in a lot of the other videos that you can use to interpret Wide Awake, is relatively benign in this video. Takes on a different tone later on.